So I've been enjoying the bus for a while now, but every now and again when I slow down and come to a coast, I would hear this bump, 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 bump noise, or knocking noise coming from, it sounds like the right rear. Could be the left rear, I'm not entirely sure. And then it would go away, and now it's come again and gotten worse. And I'm starting to suspect that it's time for me to take a look at the CV joints. So in this episode, I'm going to pull the CV joints, take them apart, take a look and see what I find in this bus. Remember, I don't know what any previous owner has done. And based on that, see if I can implement some repairs. Alrighty, well, let's get going. forgot to film me taking the CV joints off the ends of the shafts after removing the circlips and tapping off the boots. But in my case, they came off pretty easily, as you can see. Oftentimes you may need a puller to pull them off those splines. Mine, I could just pull them off by hand. They came off pretty easily. So let's take a quick look at what I found. This is the driver's side, or the left side here in North America. What I've discovered here is that I have some kind of aftermarket CV joints on there with an aftermarket drive shaft. I can identify that because there are no markings whatsoever on the outside ring, so it's not Lowbro or GKN. Also, what I noticed over here is that these over here are only 24 spline, or 24, what do you call those, teeth splines, where the usual ones I believe are 33, the OEM ones. Also, what I noticed over here is that the circlips on these are slightly different from the originals. You can see these are the sort of more modern style with the two holes, very easy to remove, that were attached to the end of the shaft. So this is aftermarket, no markings on the CV, no markings over here on the boots, and that's on the same on both ends. So similar on this side over here, I've got the aftermarket circlip, no markings at all, and then over here I've got the 24 spline or tooth splines. Moving on to the passenger side, or the right side, you'll see over here, I've got actually have the OEM shaft. So these are 33 tooth splines. And when I removed these, it still had the original spacer at the back. Everybody says when you replace your CVs, you should not reinstall these. And this is what the original circlip looks like. So you can see over here, it doesn't have the two little holes. Basically, it just has an angled cutoff. Furthermore, I also found that I've got OEM Lowbro or GKN, and it's very hard to see. CVs, I'm going to insert a picture over here. This one to me looks like it says 276 as the date code. I'll overlay a slightly clearer picture. So that's possibly original. My bus is a 78, so to have a 76 CV is kind of weird. I do know that these boots have been replaced they were replaced fairly early when I got the bus, and they were replaced by the Genial brand that you can see there. Lowbro boots. These are still in great condition, so I'm not going to do anything on this side. Then outside on the wheel side, you'll see here once again the same setup. I have the spacer. I did discover that I'm missing the circlip. There was no circlip installed at all. That might be another reason for the knocking sound. And this is a slightly newer CV, so this one over here, when I spin it around, there we go, you can see is date coded. Looks like 189, so it says Lowbro 189, and then West Germany on there as well. So slightly newer at 1989 for my 78 bus, but definitely old, and definitely will be replacing that too. Right, so time to go shopping to get some new parts. So the parts have arrived. Let's start taking a look here at the passenger side. That's a little simpler. First thing I got, of course, for both sides are two brand new GKN CV joints. So there's number one. And they, of course, come out of the box with their own replacement split ring. So that's that side there. And separately, I ordered the bag of the correct grease. And similarly, the exact same deal for this side as well. So basically, that side is easy. And now onto the driver's side. This side is a bit more complicated. First of all, I wanted the same OEM GKN / Lowbro replacement CVs. So I bought a pair of those, one for each side. But if we open them up and take a look, you'll see that they also come with the CV and of course the replacement split ring. The problem, of course, is because these are the OEMs, they come with the original 33 splines, which doesn't fit onto this 25 spline the shaft that I've got over here, which means, of course, I had to source another drive shaft. So a quick jump, got this one over here from the Ken at the bus company in Seattle, basically used, and now I can easily install those CVs onto here as well. But that's not enough, because of course what I've read online is that we shouldn't use these aftermarket boots. If you want to use the OEM CVs, you should use the OEM boots. So I bought this kit as well, and this kit for either side contains both the grease, which we will need, the original boot, and in this case Well, they used to be Lowbro and GKN branded. These guys, it just seems to say 716 on it. Hope it's good. It also comes with a replacement set of bolts. Comes with the compression ring, which we'll need over here to hold this, the center of the spoot in place. The original split ring, as well as this washer. More on this later. And I did the same thing for the other side as well. So in a case of being a bit like the mechanic's broom, I've basically, in order to get these original CVs, gone and bought the entire new CV joint, which basically means I won't be using anything out of this aftermarket CV joint at all and going back to original. Right, before I go ahead and install the CV joint, let's talk a little bit about the two sides of the CV joint, because it's actually kind of important. Starting in the middle, you'll see over here that I have a raised shoulder over here. Apparently this was done on some of the newer CV joints. Some of them have a raised shoulder on one side, some of them have them on both sides, and some of the older ones don't have it at all. What's more important though is that on the inside of this edge, you'll see there's a slight chamfer over here. And the point of the chamfer is to make it easier for this to go on to the shaft over here and sit right at the end. So the side with the chamfer in the middle must go onto the shaft. And you flip it over, you'll see this backside over here does not have a chamfer. It's completely flat all the way to the edge. And that's also important, because this side will be the one that will be sitting on the outside if I take this drive shaft over here, and it'll then get the spring clip on the edge. And you want this flat edge so that this clip has got something smooth to be able to push against to stop it from being able to pop out. So first important feature, the chamfer in the middle. The second important feature is that this cage for the balls also has a chamfer, and it should be on the same side as this chamfer. You see over here, there's a small little edge. If I compare that to the other side, you'll see that this is completely flat all the way across. There's no chamfered edge going in. Now the intent of this chamfer is also for when this is pointing in to the drive shaft this way, when your CV is at extreme angles, you don't want there to be any chance for this cage to be able to touch this drive shaft over here. So to give it just a tiny bit more clearance at extreme angles, which you can see here, is why they have that chamfer. Now what you will see that with these GKN CV joints, sometimes when you get them out of the box, everything is oriented this way, and sometimes it isn't. In my case, 2 out of the 4 I bought, the chamfer and the chamfer were on opposite sides, so this cage was installed upside down. So I just disassembled the CV joint and reassembled it following the steps in the Bentley manual. It's not difficult. I thought it would be a lot harder than it was, just in order to get this flipped to the same side as this. Many people say it's not critical, but considering how easy it was, I just went ahead and did it. The last part then is the outer part. Now this is where you'll see on the newer bearings, particularly the GKN bearings, you have, CV joints, you have these rings. On the very old style, you'll have nothing on the one edge and a single ring on the other side. And here on this new style, you have 1 on the one side and 3 on the other. The way this goes on, based on all the information I've gleaned, is that the 3 rings goes to the outside. So if you have your drive shaft, it'll come in like this. This will be on the side pointing towards the flange, and the single ring is on the inside. So this is pointing towards the drive shaft. So my drive shaft will be here like that. If you have the old style, the nothing side shoulder will go to the drive shaft, and the single ring will go towards the flange pointing out. Now, is this critical? Hard to say. I've been trying to take some measurements to see whether there's a difference in this face versus the opposite face, and it does seem that this measurement here, so the space between these two cutouts, and this measurement here, this length between these two cutouts, is slightly different from this side over here. This over here seems to be ever so slightly less, which means by extension that this is ever so slightly more. Is it critical? Hard to say, but I'm certainly paying attention to it, and I'm just going to install it because that seems to be what common knowledge seems to agree upon, is to install it that way. So all 3 features, just to once recap: chamfer pointing into the drive shaft, chamfer pointing into the drive shaft, 3 rings pointing out to the flange, or if you have the old style with just the 1 ring and nothing, 1 ring pointing out to the flange as well. All right, let me carry on and get this installed.